Hello, my name is George Gutierrez, and today I'm going to be talking about motivational interviewing, defining it a little bit, and showing my experience with it with my clients so far over over the course of doing this project. So, defining motivational interviewing is basically trying to get an understanding and baseline of where your client is thinking about and about a topic, which in our case is physical activity. Some core principles of motivational interviewing are approaching it more as a conversation rather than just feeding information to your client. Another core principle is being engaged during this interview, making sure the client feels comfortable and understood. Just making sure that you're building trust with your client is probably the main thing during motivational interviewing, is building that connection and that trust. So, and we basically we're helping each other. After hearing what some negatives and positives that your client expresses, the main key is to ask for permission, then to start giving feedback and start making a plan that makes sense to your client. Using during the interview is like kind of gathering all the information and assessing it, and then trying to make a plan from there. One technique from motivational interviewing that stood out to me was asking open-ended questions. That basically means just try to spark a conversation out of a question instead of just getting yes or no responses from the client. So it doesn't really feel like they're kind of being interrogated. It's just more like, okay, it's a conversation. Let's help each other and try to get a better understanding of where we're at. Another one that stood out to me was affirmations, which is basically giving the client positive feedback and encouragement. So for my client, they kind of struggle with physical activity and kind of their own self-efficacy. They don't really, not necessarily believe in themselves, but they kind of doubt themselves a little bit. So like giving positive feedback and encouragement, saying, hey, like, you got this, like, I believe in you, you're able to do this, kind of try to encourage them a little bit. My experience with motivational interviewing, I thought went well. My client wants to improve physical activity and put on muscle. So in the first week, they kind of struggled finding motivation to go to the gym. I believe they only went once last week instead of going, I think we scheduled 3 times a week. So after that, we just had a conversation. I started by asking some open-ended questions like, what struggles are you having? And then following up with, what do you think are some positives of physical activity? Then I just try to show that although you are having struggles, but on the bright side, look at the positives that you can gain from being more physically active. So I try to outweigh the negatives by the positives. So hopefully that could kind of encourage them as well. One thing that I probably could have done better was using reflective listening. Sometimes I felt like I was giving a little too much advice and information. It probably was a little overwhelming for my client. I felt like I had a lot of knowledge, even with the kinesiology background, that like I wanted to give, and I was probably too much information for them, where it was like they were probably thinking like, why do I need to know that? Like, I'm just trying to improve my physical activity. I don't need to know all the backgrounds of it. So I think that's one thing I could have done better, was just giving a little bit less advice and listening a little more and kind of keeping it short and sweet. But besides that, I thought that me and my client both got a little bit of a better understanding of what the plan is for the future.